People, deluded, I'm back again. We might as well go through some of the transfer speculation or transfer news doing the rounds. It's a slow day. We might as well, man. Good morning, people, if I haven't already said. Now, William Saliba, everyone's reporting it to Arsenal is pretty much done. 5-year deal. He'll stay in St Etienne. So we'll have to wait a year to see our young defender. He'll arrive at 19 years of age, hopefully with some more experience and just that bit better as a player. He won't be the finished article, still a young man, but a year can do a lot for a professional footballer. And I mean, he's 6'4", he's very composed, he's a good tackler, decent reader of the game, polish a couple things and he could be a top player and things like that. So we'll wait a year. But promising news is that in his absence, we know Arsenal's a bit of a mess at the back. Apparently, Emery and the boys are still looking for a centre-half. How much money we've got, I don't know, because hopefully we can sign a centre-half. There's rumours. David Ornstein said we want to sign a midfielder. We obviously have an interest in Zaha. We'll get onto Zaha in a bit, but there's a lot of conflicting reports. So, promising to see Saliba, even more promising that another centre-half is on the agenda. Keen to see what sort of centre-half. Will it be a cut price one? Will it be a stopgap one like Socrates in that he can be here for 2, maybe 3 seasons while the Holdings, the Salibas, Mavropanos, all of these sort of players there develop and mould their game so that by the time they're ready, these lot are out and it's not really a costly thing due to the contract length and their age and all of these sort of things. I just ultimately, first and foremost, want to see someone that is competent, consistent, and that really likes to defend, man. I want someone that's mentally stronger as well, man. I think that's understated because away games, you see what happens. We all fall apart. Personally, as much as I want a centre half or whatever people on a left back, I want a defensive system because the defense only improves with better players, but together with a better emphasis on defending and coaching. So I'm keen to see what we do in pre-season to shape up into that. In regards to Zaha, there's a lot of conflicting reports. Apparently, Arsenal are deliberating whether to go back in and preparing a second offer. You're also seeing some reports saying Emery's given up on it and told the players, the board, to go out there and bring Malcolm. In regards to Malcolm, apparently people, just based on what I'm reading, it's quite eventful how these guys make up stuff. We want Malcolm to delay his decision. That is with Everton lurking. Apparently, we cannot go into a bidding war with Everton, which kind of makes no sense because, again, no clue as how we'd structure Zaha payments. But if you can factor in willing to go up to 70 million based on reports for Zaha, wouldn't you be able to do the 30, 40 odd for Malcolm? So these papers need to be a bit sensible with how they write these stories. Again, I don't know how much or how little money we have. It's a lot of conflicting reports. Apparently, we want to delay him making a decision with Everton and Spurs lurking. We actually want him on a loan with an option to buy. Apparently, the decision rests with the player, but it could be difficult to get done, is what reports say. Going back to the Saliba front, apparently it will take a couple of days before it's finalised. That's what David Ornstein said. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I said, we're in the market for a centre half apparently and a central midfielder. We know Edu's been confirmed. Apparently we're also still pursuing Kieran Tierney and we hope to bring in a couple of more additions like I've said. And apparently their new left-back signing, Celtic's new left-back signing, got injured in their qualifying the Champions League. Not sure what that quite means for Tierney. For me, in my opinion, it looks like we made some breakthrough of sorts in the Tierney bid, and Tierney wanted to leave, and it looks like I wouldn't say isolated from training, but with that in mind, he's still around and stuff. But with that in mind, he's kind of been sectioned off, and it looks like the ball's all in our court. Apparently, Callum Chambers has confirmed he will remain at this club. Now, that was confirmed to me by someone who actually is quite close to Callum Chambers, to be fair with you, indirectly. There's also a story about not him, but a certain other centre-half in LA enjoying himself with certain paraphernalia, and the media will never speak about that. And he's been capped by England as well. But Callum Chambers wants to stay at the club. How much game time remains to be seen because he played quite a lot for Fulham. I know he wants to break through at Arsenal. He probably wants to do it with his pal Rob Holding, but how realistic is it? Because you look at on the books right now, I've just said we're looking for another centre-half people. So whether we sign one or not, that's on the agenda. So put an asterisk next to this one, right? I know Koscielny's future 1 minute he's staying and he's going Bordeaux and all of these things, but right now he's at the club, so that's him, right? Mavropanos needs to get some game time this season. We'll see what happens. That's him, right? That's him. All likely to be options ahead of him. I've already said Koscielny. Mustafi, I don't agree with it, but more likely to play ahead of him as well. Who else is there? I'm missing out. There's definitely a name I'm missing out. People, Monreal can play there as well, but that's not the name. So there's about 4 or 5 holding. There's about 4 or 5 centre halves already. Excluding the asterisk one, there's about 4 or 5 centre halves or so ahead of him. How much game time are you going to get? Now, it's sad to say, but injuries are part of football. There's a lot of games. There's the Europa League. There's the FA Cup to come in the new year. There's the Carling Cup. There's injuries. There's out of form. There's enough game time, but where does Emery see you? I know you signed a new deal and then you went out on loan and you had a decent spell and you've shown you can be used not just as centre half but in a couple of roles. He showed that in the midfield role he was actually playing at Southampton's academy. He can play there. Don't think he'll play there at Arsenal, but he's shown he can be used as an option there potentially. Whether we want to shut out games with him and Torreira, he's just shown himself. I don't agree with Chambers at right back, but based on what we've seen from Mustafi and Jenkinson, would he do any worse as an option there? Maitland-Niles and Bellerin will be the guys, but you never know. That could be an option for him. And if I'm Emery, from a selfish point of view, you might, like, similar with Bielik, how I know Bielik's not going to have a future here this season based on reports, but like how you see Bielik can play centre-half and defensive mid. As a manager, surely you want one of them utility men in your side. Chambers, you might get limited game time, 10 appearances in the Prem at best, or maybe that. But that might be something that appeals to Emery. From a selfish point of view, Chambers waiting around for the occasional cup competitions and things like that and being behind in the pecking order. You might like the London lifestyle, being at Arsenal and things, but are you really advancing? You've been capped by England already, forgive me if I'm wrong, and again, I don't think you're in Southgate's immediate thinking, but you never know what playing on a regular basis can do for you. He knows you because he's worked with you at England's under-21s. So to boost your England prospects, to just advance as a footballer playing week in, week out, because he played week in, week out at Middlesbrough and Fulham. Do you want to go back to at Arsenal? Last season, well, the season before last when he was here, I think he played all right against Chelsea and Atletico whenever it was called upon. But if you're not in the pecking order, you're not in the pecking order. There's only so many games you can play. So that is what it is. We already know about Lemina. Apparently, we wanted him when we signed Kolasinac and Lacazette, but we opted to go for them two more. Apparently, the scouts were impressed by Lemina and the little fancy program we used, the Matrix. Apparently, we used. He scored quite high. So it's lovely to see the eye test meeting the statistics, because we've all seen with Gabriel, Mustafi, and a lot of the other alleged stat DNA signings what just looking at the data can do for you people. So there's that. What other rumours are there? Chambers said he was staying. Apparently a big part of our, well, not a big part, but part of our budget from next season is going to be used for Saliba. What else have we got? Mesut Ozil and Fenerbahce. Personally, I don't see it, people. I know his wife is Turkish and apparently he does want to play for Fenerbahce or Galatasaray, one of them teams that there in the future. I don't think it's going to happen for Fenerbahce, and I think their fans, people in the know with Fenerbahce, they know it's not going to happen unless, which wouldn't make, as much as you want to get Ozil off the books, it doesn't make sense loaning him out and still paying all of his wages, because regardless of what you think, people, you're paying for something that's not there, so that's even worse. You might as well just leave him at the club. Obviously, if he goes on loan to Fenerbahce and we subsidise their wages, we'd probably pay 60% and they pay 40%. Plus a loan fee or whatnot, that makes it more liable. Just loaning him there for the sake of it doesn't help us, really and truly. It doesn't think about it. He'll just be in another place. It doesn't really help. It does not help us really with our wages. Sure, you can say the occasional hope that he was to go to Fenerbahce, play well, they sign him permanently, which I don't think they can afford, or someone else takes an interest with a year on his deal for the following season, but it doesn't make sense. And with that being said, I'm not sure on Fenerbahce's finances, and of course he'd be a good shirt seller and stuff, but are the finances there to pay even part of his wages, because he's on a lot of money? I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's quite a slow news day, and it's easy to invent Mesut Ozil to Fenerbahce. Again, anything can happen in football, and he might one day go to Turkey or MLS or something, but beyond the fact that he has Turkish heritage, that his wife with the Turkey links, and he's not ruled out playing for Fenerbahce in the future, I can't see it happening unless an external sponsor was going to inject money or subsidise the wages. I can't see it happening. I'm sure all parties in Arsenal, Fenerbahce and Ozil might be open to it, even though Ozil said he wants to stay in London, which I believe. But I don't think it's going to happen, people. I think that one is nonsense, really and truly, and it's just lazy reporting and stuff like that. Let's go on a couple other accounts and see what other transfer news. Like I said, we apparently remain confident. We remain confident on signing Kieran Tierney despite being knocked back for bills. On 2 bids, sorry. We've already seen the Zaha, conflicting reports on Zaha. Apparently El Nene to Bordeaux is rearing its head again. Apparently we've been offered Moreno Diaz in a cut price £18 million move from Real Madrid, which I don't believe, because we was also linked with Vasquez and that was all nonsense as well. He's a decent player, to be fair, but it's just a lie, really, isn't it? I don't feel there's any other news, people. Well, specifics on the Saliba's coming up. £27 million. And we'll pay in installments. That's decent. All right, cool. That's decent. He's gonna sign a 5-year deal. Apparently, Emery was the one. Arsenal had reluctance to spend that money on him, given that he won't be at the club for a season. But apparently, Emery was the one who pushed it, and that's smart. It's smart from Emery to help secure the club's future, but it's also a risky one, because I know he's technically got a year left with options of extending his contract. But let's just say things go wrong and he's not here, and whatnot. Could he have been thinking, maybe if I spent that money in other areas I was considering, would have had more success? And personally, off the back of that kind of comment I've just said, with Emery, the pressure being on the team and the manager, as great as Saliba is, and as much as he wanted to push that through, you need a centre-half immediately. Surely you're not going to do that without another centre-half of sorts coming into the club. That's why I said, as much as I feel the club need to get a move on with the transfers and things, we actually don't know the intentions and we don't know what we're doing. I know some of you, despite the fact I said I was panicking in the vid, I'm not panicking. I don't know what the club's doing. The only time I'll see panicking is come the start of the season if nothing's changed. No clue on you'd imagine the profile of the centre-half. Again, you don't know how much money we have, but it wouldn't be too much of a costly option. I don't know if it would be Gary Cahill on the free, for example, people. I don't know what sort of signing it will be, but you'd imagine it wouldn't be too costly. I don't know how much we've got, but you'd imagine it wouldn't be too costly if we've spent 30 million on him. You're seeing the Zaha bids. We've got to allocate money to adjust other areas. I think it'll be a sort of low-profile signing, someone that's of a decent age, that's competent, more of a scouts doing their job, or someone like that rather than a big name. We'll never know, truly, but yeah, man, we'll never know. But what else is there to see? I'm not going to talk. I was actually going to do that in a podcast, the Dick Law stuff, in regards to, he was talking about Ozil, Alexis and Suarez deals. Apparently we want to renew Bielik's contract to loan him out again. I've already spoken about this, and he's interested in a lot of clubs in Germany and whatnot. I don't feel there's actually nothing more to add, people. Let me look on one more website. Ose Tutu is sadly racially abused playing for Bochum against St. Gallen. Forgive me for mispronunciation. A former target in Dennis Pritt is wanted by Valencia and Leicester. There's really nothing else. There's really nothing else. And on the Chambers front, I know he wants to stay at Arsenal, but if we need to raise funds or whatnot, surely he's someone that's got to be put up for consideration. Like him, despite the fact I think he's decent and can be a decent squad player generally, him, El Nene, beyond the obvious, man. I mean, Mustafi, Mkhitaryan and Ozil, moving them on, at least believing the club wants to move them on, would be the best for resources in terms of wages. But no one wants all three of them. In best, you could probably, all three of them, if I'm a buying club, I'm only trying to get them on loan with an option to buy, really, because I'm not really convinced. I wouldn't want to take the financial outlay of a transfer fee and the wages on any three of them players. And it's probably in Arsenal's best interest, if they're not going to play here, to go somewhere for a year, raise their stock up even by a tiny bit. So next summer, teams that even have the slightest interest might be inclined to bid, which we're going to find ourselves probably next season having to take 10 million for Mustafi. Ozil and Mkhitaryan are going to leave for free in my head, unless they're sold on, because why would you want to take on Mkhitaryan with them wages? Why would you want to take on Ozil despite the fact that he's got all the nice passing stats and he's a good commercial asset? Why would you want to take on 300 bags a week, people? It don't make no sense, does it? And as for Mustafi, you've got to be blind or just not know how to defend to want to buy him, but you get the point. In regards to the transfer news, though, people, I've got nothing more to add, so I'm not going to do you lot an injustice. I'm going to respect your time and keep it moving. On that note, I hope you all have a fantastic day. It's the morning in the UK. I'm off to have my breakfast. People, stay safe. Thank you for watching and tuning in. Deluded, I'm out.